Welcome back to Storm Games. This is another Hearthstone deck build video. This one's a kind of a little fun deck. I've made it in wild setting. I call it my random madness. It revolves around randomness, just pure RNG, and obviously we've got Yogg in here because we've got a bunch of spells. We've thrown in some non-random spells just to kind of balance out the mage part of the deck and to kind of give Yogg Saron a little bit of a chance to do some damage when he gets out there. But I find a lot of the time we don't actually play Yogg. It's very rare that we actually do get to play him. This deck performs pretty well. I'm not so much. I don't know about ranked in wild, but just playing randomly in a classic play, it does pretty good. Now let's go down through the deck list here. The first card we have, Forbidden Flame. Oops, I'm gonna put it back in there. I just took it out. Let's see. What do I do with that? Forbidden Flame. Oh, I've got random. Alright. Forbidden Flame here. It is a card that isn't random, but I find that it does complement a lot of the other cards, like the Flamewalker. It tends to, well, I guess the Flamewalker is really the only one it complements. It helps out in certain parts of the game because you can spend the rest of your mana to do some damage, and a lot of times that helps. The idea with this deck is just to deal deal damage when you can. Obviously, most of it's random. We've got cards in here like the Mad Bomber and the Matter Bomber who can damage your own guys, but I find their presence out there usually overpowers the fact that they've done damage to your own characters half the time. And obviously there's a chance that they don't even touch your people. But next we got Arcane Missiles, 3 damage, randomly split amongst all enemies. Real good card to have in this deck, especially with the Flamewalker, because if on like turn 4 or 5 you have Flamewalker and a couple of these, you're just random damage everywhere. And it's really devastating to the opponent. Flame Cannon, 4 damage to a random enemy minion. Now this is a really good early game card. If you have this in your opening hand, it will really determine the pace of the game. Because what you might run into is they'll play an early 1 or 2 mana minion, you know, that has 2, 3, or even sometimes 4 mana or 4 health, and you can immediately take it out, and it throws off their whole game. Now we have Frostbolts in here. Obviously, they're not a random thing, but they're in here to even out the mage deck. Flame Juggler. Overall, he's a good card. You know, 2/2 for 2/3 for 2, and 1 random damage. So you know that's nice. We have the Knife Juggler in here. Deal 1 damage every time you summon a minion. This is a real nice one, and I thought about putting the mirror image in there, but I did have the mirror images in there for that card at one point, but I kept running into the fact that these taunts were out in the game, and it prevented me from playing. You don't want a whole lot of minions out on the board at once usually, because then it limits you from playing your Mad and Matter Bombers. Plus your servant of Yogg Saron, when you get him out there, he cast a random spell along with Yogg-Saron. They cast random spells that tend to hurt your own minions. So the idea is to get the random damage out there, do as much as you can with the minion, and then dispose of it. So we've got, obviously, the Mad Bomber. The Demolisher. This is one that I've taken in and out of this deck. It's a nice deck to have, it's a nice card to have, but I find it acts more of a taunt. People see this and they immediately want to kill it, just because it does that 2 damage to a random enemy at the beginning of the turn, at the beginning of your turn. They tend to focus their damage on that rather than your face, and that ends up winning you the game. Flamewalker, we've already talked about him. He's just real good to have, especially with some of the lower cost spells. You know, on those mid-game, in-game type turns, you got him and the arcane missiles or the frost bolts, the flame cannons. He just really devastating. And it even more so if you got both of them out at the same time. Spellslinger, you just get more random cards in your hand. It kind of goes with the theme. He's a nice card, 3/4 for 3, so he's a nice presence on the board regardless, plus he gives you that random spell. The downside to him is he does give your partner a random spell, and the big downside is sometimes he'll give you a spell that, you know, like a weapon buff spell, and obviously that's not going to help a mage. So you get something like that and you can't even play it, it's just stuck in your hand. Fireballs, again, another mage essential to have. I did put one polymorph in here because I kept running into Zoolox, and I did kind of run into... I've been seeing them more frequently. I don't know if they're making a comeback, but I did see a couple Warlock Dreadsteed decks. And without a card to silence or polymorph those Dreadsteeds, that can be a real pain in the ass. So I decided to toss one of those in just for kicks. The Bomb Lobber, I was thinking about putting another one of him in here, but I think I've got the deck at a pretty good balance right now, so I think we're going to leave it at that. Leave it where it's at. Now this one, he can pretty much take out a good sized minion. Obviously do 4 damage, but between him and, say, an Arcane Missiles or a Frostbolt, you can take out some pretty good sized minions, so he's a real good presence to have on the board. Now the Matter Bomber. He is your real big wild card. 6 damage, randomly split amongst all characters. Now obviously he can do a lot of damage to you and your minions. But he is a huge presence on, and I find with these Mad and Matter Bombers, when they see them come out and do that random damage, even though some of that damage is dispersed amongst your face and your minions, they tend to act like more of a taunt. Like, people try to get rid of them as if they're going to continue to do that damage, and obviously they're not going to. Now, obviously, the Matter Bomber is a little bit more of a threat at 5 attack. But even the Matter Bomber, 3/2, I think it's that little bit more buffed attack that kind of helps make you more of a threat. And honestly, those are the kind of minions you want out there, because you want them, like I said, you want them to go out there, do their random damage. Basically get out there, do the damage, and then you want them gone. You basically, you only want to get really 1 attack out of them. If you can get more than 1 attack out of them, you're really getting value out of them in this deck. Servant of Yogg-Saron, this is a good random card to have in your deck. I used to have 2 in here, but I found 2 was kind of overkill. Usually you don't get to the late game, or once you do get to the late game, you're dominating in a way that you really don't need these higher level minions. So the 5/4 for 5 body of this card really doesn't do a whole lot. Now, the random spell it casts is nice sometimes. On more occasions than not, I've actually had this card, like Yogg Saron, kill himself when he casts a spell. But on occasion he'll give you a useful secret, or maybe use a consecrate on your enemy, certain things like that'll end up helping you. But it is a good body. Now we have a summoning stone in here. This one I don't get to use a whole lot. I don't have a whole lot of high level, mid or high level spells. I'm sorry, my mind kind of on me. We do have 2 fireballs, a polymorph, and a flame strike. And those are really the only ones that are going to give this thing real value. But I found the purpose of having this in the deck is not really for those. If you can have this thing out, while you're casting those arcane missiles or frost bolts or flame cannons, you tend to fill your board with a bunch of meaningless minions that, one, they can kind of absorb your random damage from your mad bombers, which typically, if you've got more than 1 minion on the board, you really don't want to play them, because they're just going to distribute that damage amongst your characters and not even touch theirs, and that's kind of pointless, especially the mad bombers. But if you have the summoning stone out and you cast the arcane missiles, you're going to get like a wisp, or some random 1/1 minion. And it puts a threat on the board, especially mid or late game, when you're starting to fill the board and you're causing all that random or direct damage. It tends to put the pressure on them and they start making mistakes. And I find more often than not, that's how you win the games with this deck. You're just putting so much chaos out there, they don't know how to handle it. Sylvanas, obviously, I mean, when it comes to randomness, she's queen of the castle. She can go out there and absorb a little bit of damage and take a minion on her way out, steal a minion on her way out. Plus, she puts a kind of a screeching halt to certain gameplays. And I find in this whole random madness I've got going on here, when you put her out there, you don't have to play around her. You can continue to fork out your random madness, and they have to play around her. And it makes it really hard for them to counter your random madness. So, obviously I needed some sort of board clear in here. So I did throw 1 flame strike in there for those moments when, you're up against a Zoolock or whatever, and they're just flooding the board with crap. You got to be real strategic when you play this thing, though. And if you can manage to get it out after you've had a summoning stone out or a flame walker, then you get max profit out of it. And then Yogg Saron speaks for himself. He is like your end game last ditch effort to maybe win. I find I only use him when the game has drawn out to a point where you're about to lose, or you really don't know how it's going to play out, because you're both players are getting down to their last cards, that sort of thing. Because I don't tend to play Yogg unless I absolutely need to. I'll keep him in my hand for 2 or 3 10-mana turns if I need to. Just because usually, like I said, by late game, it's make it or break it. And usually I can make it. Or I'm about to be milled, and that's when Yogg comes in handy, and just you throw him out there and you cross your fingers. Because you've played all your spells, and you'll let Yogg handle it at that point. So that's the deck. Let's get in here and see if we can get into a match. Show you guys how this deck performs. Again, we're going to play casual, not ranked, just so we can get a decent game going on. And not get stuck up against those, especially in Wild, stuck up against those crazy decks where it's just like a bunch of burst damage or really long, drawn-out decks to play up against. And I kind of want to show the extent of the deck. So like I said, Flame Cannon in your opening hand is a great card. We're going to go ahead and mulligan the rest of these. You usually don't need Flame Strike until mid-game or so, around about the time you can play it. Now this isn't an ideal hand. An ideal hand would be a Flame Cannon, maybe an Arcane Missile, a Knife Juggler, something like that. Mad Bombers are great to have in your opening hand because there's no minions out there. The odds that they're going to hit their face, pretty good. So we're just going to start off. We don't have much to play. We do have 2 Frost Bolts. We're just going to... Actually, no. We're going to pass this turn. Now, we could have coined out 1 Frost Bolt, laid some damage on him, but we're playing against a priest, so actually this helps. We've got options here. We can coin out the Demolisher, or we can just play the Mad Bomber. I think the Mad Bomber is probably the best, because we're most likely to dish at least 2 of those bombs out to his face, or our face. Either way. The Mad and Madder Bombers tend to make them do one of 2 things. Either get cocky, like that, where it's just like, okay, I'm just going to kill it and heal it, and then you're going to deal with the damage that you suffered. Now, watch how much aggro this thing causes. He's going to immediately try to get rid of this thing. How'd he get a flame? Oh, he got it from Mind Vision. Well played, buddy. Watch this. Like I said, they're immediately aggro. Immediately.
How many fingers do you see?
Alright. I was hoping that would hit his priestess there, but... or his champion. Now we could play the Matter Bomber, but I think we got a better play here. We can play this. Now see how all of a sudden we did a bunch of stuff, and now he's probably over there going, oh my god, what the hell's going on? He did like 8 plays. And though it seemed like that, we only did like 3. Now, this is where we get a little panicked. Actually, you know what? We're not going to panic at all, because here's what we're going to do. We could play Sylvanas, or we can Matter Bomber. Let's Matter Bomber.
Did someone say bomb?
Now, of course, that thing can kill our Demolisher, but like I said, he's out there. See, he's going to use that. We don't even want him out there that long, so he just wasted that when he could have used it on a Sylvanas later. So this is good. Alright. Another Matter Bomber coming up.
Did someone say bomb?
See, he's focused on my minions, and look, I've got him down to 13 already, and he's a priest. He's not even paying attention to his own health, because he's focused on this chaos that we're dishing out. Alright, this is where we're going to have to play Sylvanas to kind of... See, he healed that. play Sylvanas.
I have no time for games.
It's getting hot in here. Job's done.
See, now he's got to play around Sylvanas. He's a Divine Inner Spirit. Oh, double. Wow. See?
Well played.
Okay. Obviously, there's no way to play around that. So we're going to play again. That was a unique situation there. Those quick priests, that's the idea. And if you haven't seen mine, I do have a deck build video on my Quickie Priest, which is basically what that priest was there. The whole idea is to, get that double inner fire and wreak havoc. Alright, I think we're gonna mulligan this whole hand, actually. Yeah. Let's see if we can get a Flame Juggler or Mad Bomber. This isn't a very good hand, actually.
Job's done.
Especially against a rogue. Rogues will kill knife jugglers pretty quickly, usually. They're very high aggro targets because they don't want to, they don't want them out there while you're summoning other minions, obviously. But really, a Murloc rogue. This should be an interesting battle. How do we handle this? Should we use the flame cannon and hope to hit the Tide Caller? Should we use our hero power and just take out the one that's there?
What to do?
I think hero power. Hopefully he puts a better target out there for the random flame cannon to hit. No, not quite the target we were looking for. Okay. That's actually a good thing. So we can hold off until 5. Let's... We're just not getting the right cards in our hand right now. We need some of those lower cost minions that we don't have to rely on other minions to. This is good. This is good. So 4. Actually, that's real good. Think about this real quick. Yeah. So we can do this on turn 5, and that should... Well, we should have hit that. Okay, you did that to draw a card. It's good news for us. Alright. You know what? Let's just do this.
What's that on your head?
I serve the fire lord.
Oh, didn't hit who we wanted to hit. We gotta get rid of the Divine Shield. So 6, we can play 2 of these. Or these 2. Yep, almost always a target. Though that's just the sap. We're not afraid of that. Face damage, huh? Alright.
Wanna blow something up?
Where that divine shield? No. There we go. Actually, that works out even better.
Join or die, or both.
Yog. Of course it's Yog. Alright. Good. Hit the one I wanted to hit.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Dead or alive?
See? Useless to us. That's exactly what I was talking about. Does nothing to help us. We might be able to play this on a combo to give... I don't know how that works. Can we just use the combo? Because the combo we can use, but the initial we can't. We're going to thank him for that because it's going to give us another spell.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
There you go. Just couldn't handle it. You just couldn't handle the madness. And a lot of the games you win will be because of that. We're gonna play one more game here, guys, because I want to kind of show you the consistency of the deck. That first game was kind of a unique situation against the Quick Priest. But you'll find a lot of the times that's the way your games will end. They just can't handle the madness, and they end up quitting. And that's why I said you very rarely get to that end game. And when you do, it's usually in a double fatigue situation.
You asked for it. Oh, it is on.
All right, we are going to mulligan all that. This isn't too bad, I guess. We got a flame juggler in our opening hand. That's good. Some direct pressure in the.
It's getting hot in here.
Now you'll find against other mages, it tends to be about a 50-50 win rate because other mages tend to focus more on direct damage. They're more aggressive type decks too, which is basically what you're going for too, is an aggressive type gameplay with this. It's just more random. Like, you don't know what your target is, you just know you're attacking. That sort of thing. Hopefully they...
Hello.
They're even there. Looks like we win this one by default. Oh look, his name's Random.
Runs out on me.
I wonder if he's a random mage. A lot of people that build this deck tend to do more of a a puritist to randomness, pure RNG. And that means, you know, none of the fireballs or polymorphs or flame strikes. I hate this because I feel like I'm taking advantage of the fact that he wasn't there. But
It's getting hot in here.
Job's done.
Time runs out on me.
yeah, this game's... Oh, no, he's going to play. We kind of got the upper hand here, though. Alright. That limits me from playing my Mad Bomber because that'll kill my guys. So, we'll play him.
Dead or alive?
Do the attacks. Draw 2 cards, overload 2. That might come in handy. A little bit of draw shouldn't hurt this deck unless we get into that late game. I do find with those spell slingers, they tend to give a card that obviously isn't for the class that you're giving it to. So what it turns out being is they go, ooh, I got this card, I need to play it right now. And it may not be the best play for them. Alright, let's double Frostbolt.
Draw.
I fully expect him to quit. Mainly because he missed his first turn, but... I mean, who knows? He may have been doing that just because he didn't have anything to play and wanted to waste my time.
Wanted. Dead or alive?
Friendly beast. Well, as you can see, we have no beasts in our deck. So that's not going to do a whole lot of good for us. Should we go for Chaos? Chaos? Let's do this. If I overload 2 now, that'll give me 3 next turn. Could Mad Bomber. Yeah. Alright.
Draw.
With the amount of HP we have compared to him, we're just going to go face. There's no point in trying to absorb damage to our face at this point.
I wonder.
See how much aggro he causes? Well, this will be interesting here. I could fireball. You know what? I think that's better play. No, let's get some board presence out there. Now this isn't smart, but for max randomness, well, we're gonna do it.
You wanna blow something up?
Job's done.
Looks like it worked out in our favor. Quite well, actually. Surprised he hasn't quit yet. Not really concerned about that because we got... Alright. We can take it out now, or... Yeah, let's just... Board control there. We should be fine. Well, if we can get this...
I'm not lonely.
Ah, the great outdoors.
If we get something of ours polymorphed, we can then Bestial Wrath. So I believe the sheep is considered a beast. Alright, this is where things get fun.
Hey, catch!
It's like this guy's gonna try to play this out. I don't see...
You win.
Yeah, okay. and there again, most of the time you're going to see them concede just because they can't handle the randomness. As you see, we had quite a bit of our deck to play here still. So, oh, look at that. I get a pack of cards. Let's open that up with you guys, just for fun. Nothing good. Yep, didn't need that. Oh well. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you got any suggestions for any other fun decks to play, I'm open to suggestions. You know, give me a theme and I'll run with it. I'll do just about anything just for fun. Especially with this, I love building these type of decks where it's just like themed. The random one is really fun to play with, but I've seen people build like only one cost minion decks and make them work, and you know, stuff like that. Like I seen a guy build a hunter that was almost all spells and somehow made it work. I don't know how he pulled it off, but he did. So, you know, if you got any suggestions like that, you want to see me play, I'd be happy to throw a deck together that the best I can and try to play it for you, and record it and see how it goes, win or fail. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.